question. The next question is for candidate Dragoni. And what specifically will you do as a council member to stop LAX expansion?
First and foremost is continue to promote regionalization. LAWA owns Palmdale and Ontario airports. In my industry, I'm in the international transportation, and with technology today, there is no reason why we cannot insist that the freighters are relocated to those facilities. Most of the distribution centers in our industry are based out there. So it would be a cost-saving effort. It would also affect our needs by reducing noise and pollution.
Okay, any other comments or responses? Okay, the next question then is a question for candidate Georges. Do you think allowing developers to build 4 stores on Main Street is a good idea?
Say that again?
Do you think allowing developers to build 4 stores on Main Street?
4 stories or 4 stores?
Well, it says stores. It must
Okay.
stories on
Okay.
Main Street is a good idea.
Well, if you don't have the proper setback, you should not be able to build 4 stories. And you know, my opinion, aesthetically, I think that's a little too high for this area.
Okay, any other
That's it.
comments or rebuttals for that? Candidate Burns?
I support some of the 4-story development. I'm not sure about the 48-foot. I like more the 44-foot. But I think what is important for the community, and I think what the community wants is input and communication, is the parking problem. You don't have a consistent look. You look at 426 Main right now as the newest element of the community, and I don't think the people like it. That's a 4-story, and if that's an example of the future, then I'm not for it. But I think it can be done in a sensible manner that the community supports, as long as it's consistent, it's planned appropriately, and the community is invited to participate appropriately.
Thank you. Candidate Bush?
Just real quickly, I believe it's 3 stories on Main Street, and after our last go-around on the council, we required a setback on the topmost story so that you wouldn't have the canyon effect in downtown. And we went through many illustrations and many discussions about this subject, and that's why we decided to place the setback on the 3rd story. Thank you.
Candidate Dragoni?
First thing that comes to my mind is not so much if it's 3 stories or 4 stories or 44 feet or 48 feet. I don't think the community wants to lose the charm of downtown, and that's something that is very important. That's what we have left. Parking is a critical factor, and I think if we enlarge the buildings, all we're going to do is entice big box businesses to try to come into town. We need to keep the charm of El Segundo the way it is.
Okay, anybody else? All right. This seems like an easy question, but we'll see. The next question is for candidate Topar. It says, are there city policies that you agree with? Hey, I don't write them.
Just say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, there are yes, many policies that I agree with. Thank God I only have a minute. But yes, we have some new things that are happening. We have a new environmental commission that's coming up that is going to be a huge asset to the community. What was the question? How did you state it? It just seemed too easy. I'm not
Well,
sure.
yeah, that's why I said it sounded like an easy question. Are there city policies that you agree with?
Yes, there are.
Okay. Yes, you have a rebuttal to whether she agrees with city.
I just say,
Georges.
do not litter. Cross at the green, not in between. And what else? Pick up after your dog.
Okay, any other candidate Burns?
Having been a former employee of the city for 7 years, I think there's some policies in the city that I agree with, but for the most part, there's room for improvement. Many of the decisions that are made as far as affecting the employees are made by history, and they're not written on paper. And so one of the issues that I want to bring as a council member to the employees and to the administration is we need to define, I think, in more principle, a roadmap for our employees by putting good policies and procedures in place so they know what the rules are, so that things are consistent, that they know exactly what their mission is to be and what the accountability issues are, and that makes them better employees, and I think it makes better motivated and better cooperation for all concerned. But beyond that, the community is supported better because the community knows what the rules are as well. And then when the issues, you have a problem with the city, you know what the rules are, the city's playing by the rules, and the community is addressing the rules. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or rebuttals? Okay, we'll move on to the next question then for candidate Brand. What was your position on Prop Q? And do you think the city should have promised to maintain the swimming pools on school property? And do you think the city should have promised to maintain the swimming pools on school property?
I supported Prop Q, gave money to the campaign behind it. The pool that needs to be improved is the one the city owns, the plunge. I don't think that the best decision was to include the pools and seek a new site for the pools within Prop Q, and I think that was one of the reasons that it wasn't successful. I would like to see the pool issue settled through the city, not through the school district.
Okay. Any other comments or rebuttals to that question? Okay, we'll move on. Yes, candidate Dragoni.
There's other ways of approaching that. With the awareness of obesity with children, the federal government, there's an abundance of grants and money out there that we can approach to try to finance such a project. And I think that's something viable that we should look into.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Okay, we'll move on to a question for candidate Jacobson. This writer has heard that others claim they have expansive management and volunteer experience. Do you have similar experience?
Within city government, absolutely, being mayor and councilman for so long. I also owned my own business for 20 years with many employees. You can see my literature on all the committees that I've chaired and so forth. So, yes, I believe I have much management and volunteer.
Okay, thank you. Do any other candidates have any comments or rebuttals to that? Okay. That was the last round or question for the round of candidates for the council. We now have a question for our candidate for city clerk, and this question revolves around the city clerk's time at City Hall. How much should it be? Especially based upon salaries and benefits, and what control does the council have over the clerk's time and benefits and salary?
I'm under the impression they have absolutely. The city council has no control over what the city clerk does. Once elected, she's in office. Unless she doesn't show up for work for 90 days or something of this sort, and she could be replaced as such. I was the city clerk here 16 years ago, and at that time, I sat down and figured out probably what the city had a right to expect from the city clerk, depending upon the money that was spent on it in terms of salary and benefits. At that time, I came to the conclusion that they had a right to about 10 hours a week. And when I spent more time, I just considered it a gift to the community, such. My problem here is I just think that they have more than 2 hours a month, right, for their clerk.
Okay, thank you.